Let's talk about every horror movie I've watched recently. I kicked off the year watching No Way Up, which is a 2024 shark movie about a group of people who are on a plane that crashes into the ocean, and they're survivors who survive in an air pocket underwater, but wait, there are sharks who begin preying on them. Sounds fun. Sounds exactly up my alley. I was like, this sounds amazing. I love shark disaster movies. But it is the worst piece of shit I've ever watched. I will say that. I'm sorry. The acting in this, horrendous. There are so many things that I tried to look past. I'm like, I don't think that's how it works. And I just couldn't look past it. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. The characters are horrible. I couldn't wait for them to die. Characters make stupid decisions. I just wasn't having fun with it. I didn't like it. But I think if you like shark movies, will you like it? I like shark movies. I didn't like it. If you're looking for something stupid and mindless, yeah, watch this. Then I rebounded with Last Straw from 2023, and you know what? This movie is really fun. A lot of people seem to shit on this movie when it came out, but I had a blast with this. It's about a young girl who works in her dad's diner in the middle of nowhere, and he makes her work the late night shift. And earlier in that day, she has a little bit of a scruffle, is that the right word, with some youth who were causing a ruckus, and then she has a little conversation, a heated conversation with the men who work with her, who are actually unhappy that she is the manager of the place because her dad works there, so he gave her the job. So they're kind of like, what the hell? We have much more experience. We should be in this position. So anyway, there's a lot of turmoil between the people she works with and also the town. And so she fires everyone, and she has to work that shift the evening alone. And guess what? People come back in masks and they start messing with her. And it's not fun. It's not fun for her because she has to survive. And the story takes a really interesting turn that I was not expecting. It gets really dark, and I love the main character. She is such a bitch. She's such a snotty bitch. Okay, she's not likable, but you know what? We don't have to be likable, guys. We don't have to be likable. We can be a bitch. And she does it so well. I loved her. I loved her so much because I feel like, yeah, I get it. She's making sense at why she's being a bitch right now. She has a lot to prove. And just the way men treat her, it makes sense, okay? So I just love this one. I think it's really fun. It goes places I wasn't expecting. Yeah, is it a little ridiculous and unbelievable at times? Yeah. But you know what? It's set in a diner. And I love diner set horror movies, horror stories, and this one was fun. Then I checked out Fall from 2022, and this movie, my fear of heights, did not have a good time with this movie. So this movie is about two friends who decide to climb this wicked tall tower in the middle of nowhere because one of them is a daredevil YouTuber and the other one's husband died on a rock climbing trip. So she's like, hey, you gotta face your fears and climb this damn tower with me. It doesn't go well, okay? Because they get stranded on the top of this tower, the ladder falls off, and they're screwed. And then the whole movie is watching them trying to survive at the top of this tower and trying to figure out how they're gonna get out of this situation alive. You know what? This one is really fun, but they have some stupid elements into it. Like, there's a whole subplot that they pull into the story involving her best friend and her husband that's really stupid. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not needed. What I liked about this story is it takes some interesting turns. There's a lot of psychological stuff happening to these characters. There are also vultures that attack, and I'm not sure it works that way. But overall, I had fun with this. It's silly. It's stupid, but it's like adrenaline. It's like an adrenaline rush. Like, I was just so nervous for these people on this big ass tower. I would never do that. So it was just scary for me. But it was entertaining. Then, because we lost director David Lynch, I decided to watch Mulholland Drive for the first time. And you know what? I actually really liked it. So this movie is about a young woman played by Naomi Watts, who is like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She moves to Los Angeles to find her big break and make it as an actress. And she's staying in her aunt's house, and when she's there, she discovers this woman hiding out there, and this woman has no memory of who she is or why she's there. So Naomi Watts' character tries to help her figure it out. There's a lot of weird, quirky stuff along the way. And then the later half of the film, things are revealed, and it gets really dark disturbing and sad. I was shocked at the journey that this movie goes on and that we're taken on, because it just wasn't expected. It's a story about having big hopes and dreams and not getting to really live out those dreams and seeing those dreams stripped away, like the kind of person you are when you enter the start of what you want to become and then not becoming that person and what that can do to you. It was just very dark and sad. And I thought Naomi Watts is incredible. Like at first I was like, I don't get it. She's just playing this like cookie cutter girl. But then when you see what she becomes, she's amazing. She's so good. She's amazing in this, and this movie just is very upsetting. It's very weird, like very dreamlike and surreal, like all of David Lynch's stuff, but I really liked this one, and I'm sad he's gone. I'm not a huge David Lynch fan, but I can understand his influence on the industry, and he was just an interesting, unique voice that wasn't afraid to do what he wanted to do. So it's really sad that he's gone, but this movie will live on forever. And it's very good. Then I went and saw Wolfman from 2025 and I hated it, okay? No, you know what? That's too hard. I didn't hate it. I was just indifferent because it's just kind of a meh movie. I was very excited about this movie because it was Lee Wanell. It was the Wolfman. The Wolfman is one of my favorite Universal monsters. The cast is amazing. Christopher Abbott. It had all the ingredients of a perfect horror movie that I was going to love. And unfortunately, they went in a different direction with this story where it was more about the family drama and the transformation than him being a Wolfman at all. Like, and the character doesn't really look like the Wolfman. It just makes a lot of interesting choices where this whole movie is just his transformation, the infection. They did some really cool stuff with it where you get to see his perspective as he's changing, and I loved that because like he can't understand his family, the voices are muffled, he sees things differently. So I thought that was really cool, but the chemistry between the two leads is completely off. It's not there. Julia Garner, I love her, but she was not it. She was miscast, I think. She did nothing in this movie, and there's absolutely no connection between her and Christopher Abbott's character or the daughter. So it was just hard to watch, and it just kind of is a little boring. There were some cool moments that jumped out at me as being creepy and scary, but overall, I was let down by this. Maybe I'll feel differently if I rewatch it, but it wasn't a werewolf movie. It wasn't the Wolfman. Call it something else. Okay? I checked out Getaway from 2024. This is a movie about a family who head to this small island as they're about to celebrate this like annual festival, and weird stuff starts happening with the locals. This one stars Nick Frost. This is a very quirky like horror comedy where this family is weird and out of place and awkward humor, and then there's a twist that I saw coming, but it was okay. I just felt like it took forever to get to the twist that I knew was coming, but then when it does come, it's fun again, but overall, I don't know, it's okay. I checked out A Different Man, which is the 2024 movie starring Sebastian Stan as a man who has he has a unique face, and he's very unhappy with it because he wants to be an actor. He undergoes this experimental procedure to basically fix his face, and he gets what he wants, but he realizes he's still not happy. And then he meets this person who looked exactly like him before, and this person is completely different. He's super confident and happy with who he is, and everyone loves him. So it's this weird like inner battle that Sebastian Stan's character is having with himself, and how like why couldn't he have been this person with self-esteem like this guy. And it just goes to interesting places. It's very psychological, it's a bit of a slow burn, and Sebastian Stan, he's amazing in it. There's one scene where he's like bawling his eyes out that upset me so much. Like it just felt so raw, and I thought it was an interesting watch. It kind of dragged on a little bit, but overall I liked the themes of the movie. You can watch this one on Max. Then I was lucky enough to watch a screener of Strange Harvest: Occult Murder in the Inland Empire. This is the latest film from one of the directors of Grave Encounters, and it's a mockumentary style horror movie about an infamous serial killer who was killing people in like very culty ways. I think this one is well made. It is definitely similar to the Poughkeepsie tapes, and it has some brutal moments where you're seeing the crime scene and what the killer has done. I think it has great interviews with people involved. Overall, I don't know if it was as effective as the Poughkeepsie tapes for me. I didn't feel that sense of dread and horror that I felt because you kind of know everything going into this movie, but I also was watching it on a tiny laptop computer. I think if I had watched it on a bigger screen, I would have experienced it differently. I did enjoy it. I just think I need to rewatch it when I'm in a better place mentally. But unfortunately, I don't know if this one is out yet. Like, they're still trying to find distribution, which is surprising because, I mean, Grave Encounters is amazing. Like, I think it's amazing. I love it. A lot of people love it. So I hope they get it distributed soon so everybody can watch it. Then I watched Companion, starring Sophie Thatcher, and as you can see, I was heavily influenced to change my hair and, you know, cut some Sophie Thatcher bangs. This movie is a different kind of love story. I don't want to say too much, but I feel like the poster and the trailer gave it away. Basically, it's about a couple on a getaway with a group of friends, and you find out that Sophie Thatcher's character, she's a sex robot. Okay? And that's honestly not a twist because they reveal it very soon on, and there's a bigger twist in the story. Like, the story goes to places that you're not expecting, or at least I wasn't expecting, and it just is batshit crazy. The movie is fun. Sophie Thatcher is amazing. I love her so much. Like, she's so good at playing this character where it's not cartoony. Like, she's playing it like she seems like a real person, but the way she moves, it's not like overly exaggerated though, so it's like it's perfect. The way she speaks, I love her. And there's just one scene in particular where they're going through her settings and it can change the way she speaks, and she speaks in a different language at one point, and it is so funny, her delivery. This movie is funny. It has so many funny moments. One in particular involving Jack Quaid that like caught me off guard that I can't stop thinking about because it's so like just jarring, but it's so funny. It's basically a movie about toxic relationships and abusive relationships and kind of getting through that. I thought it was an interesting commentary. It's not any new commentary, but I thought it was a unique way to comment on that. I liked it. I love the way it ends. I love Sophie Thatcher. It's fun. It's my first favorite of the year. I also watched Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix, which is a new miniseries about an Australian influencer named Belle Gibson who essentially rose to fame claiming she had brain cancer, and her healthy living essentially helped her recover from this, and she created this app that had healthy recipes and a cookbook. But soon it was revealed that she was scamming everybody because she never had cancer and she wasn't giving any of the money that she raised to different charities, and her whole world fell apart. Caitlin Dever plays Belle Gibson and she's incredible. She has the best Australian accent. She's American. You can't tell. She's so good in this. And there's also other stories that are told. This young woman who gets diagnosed with this really aggressive cancer and she has to cut off her arm, but she refuses. So she starts looking into different ways, natural, holistic ways to treat it, and it examines her fate as well. The story is an interesting look at parasocial relationships and the wellness community, especially during the early days of Instagram, and just how they took over, they blew up, and just how those people prey on people, and how the health industry and wellness industry preys on sick people who were looking for a quick fix, or people who just need hope to live and get through their cancer. And it's very sad because they're just taking people's money. They're just preying on vulnerable people, and it's scary. Just how much influence influencers have on people is scary. Also watched a ton of winter horror movies, and I did a whole underrated winter horror movie watch list that I can link down below. A lot of winter horror movies, a lot of found footage horror movies, a lot of Wendigos. Like, that's like the unintentional trend of the movies I watched was there's a lot of Wendigo in it. Kept me going. Okay, these movies kept me going. Found footage horror movie saves the day for me. Those are all the movies I've watched recently. What am I seeing next week? I'm seeing The Monkey soon, so maybe I'll talk about that after I see it, but I'm very excited about it. And if I don't get the monkey popcorn bucket, I'm going to be devastated. As if I have room for another popcorn bucket. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope your viewing year is off to a good start, a much better start than me. Let me know what movies you've been watching recently, and if you've watched any of the movies I talked about, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you again so much for watching. I will catch you next time. Bye.